Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game, and it's the battle for 7 as Wolverhampton Wanderers take on West Ham United. It's all we've got left to play for. Wolves are half in and half out of the cup. But Gonzo, what's your thoughts on our opponents tomorrow night?
They've done remarkably well. It's easy to forget if you watch them play that they're a newly promoted team. They play with a swagger, certainly that you wouldn't expect from a newly promoted team. They've got the connection with, I think it's Jorge Mendes, the agent there, so they're able to get certainly a whole gaggle of Portuguese players over. Possibly the best of whom is Ruben Neves, very, very good player. So seems to dictate everything from central midfield. They've got a good defence with Willy Bolly in it, who's a particular favourite of mine. Good wide players. Jimenez has started scoring goals up front as well. Jota is a good player. And, of course, they've got the young, fantastic Kieran Gibbs-White, who looks like somebody who's going to be in the England team for years to come. So it's all looking pretty rosy for them.
Our guest tonight is a busy man in the transfer window. X, you're a bit of a Premier League connoisseur like myself. What's your thoughts on Wolverhampton Wanderers?
To be honest, I think what Gonzo said is pretty much spot on. I can't really add that much to it. I think they've been one of the best sides to be promoted in many a year. I think they play with a lot of style. They're actually one of those teams that when they're on Sky, you think, oh yeah, I'll watch that one, regardless of who the opponent is. And they've got a number of players there that, it's impressive for a newly promoted team to sign. The midfielder Neves, he looks superb, and I think it's only a matter of time before he's playing for a bigger team than Wolves.
X, do you think this could be the start of something reasonably big for Wolves? Like Gonzo said, they've got the agent, they've obviously got the money, they're in the Premier League, they've got the style, they've arguably got the manager. They look like they're heading for a top 10 finish on their first season up.
I think so, yeah. I mean, as you say, things are only going to get better. I mean, I know promoted clubs can have a great first season and fall apart, but I think they've got the financial backing and the clout with the agent to bring in better players next year. And I think Wolves will be an established Premier League team for a while now.
And what about yourself, Gonzo? I mean, it looks like they're going for a top 10 finish, but as next season, would you be thinking if anyone's going to get into that top 6, Wolves is one of the prime candidates?
Well, arguably, they are the best of the rest. Everton and ourselves should be vying for those sort of positions, just particularly with ourselves because we've spent some money, because we've got a pedigree manager, let's say. Everton just keep chucking money at stuff. They've got a lot of money, so one of us had to, and it looks like they're going to be the ones, really. I wouldn't put it past a team like Wolves to really start gnawing away at Arsenal's traditional position in the league, if you like. Particularly, it looks as though Stan Kroenke at Arsenal doesn't want to spend any money, which is obviously the complete opposite of what Wolves have got, which is just absolute ambition to go further. So, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I do think, unless something... I don't know where their money comes from. I wouldn't claim to know a lot about it, but unless something catastrophic happens with wherever the source of their income is, I'd imagine they're here to stay.
X, do you think this is sort of tied in with our performance and result on Saturday? Wolves, if you didn't know, drew 2-2 against Shrewsbury in the FA Cup, so they've got the replay, but they're still in it. Do you think, X, that they should perhaps look at sacrificing a couple of league positions and points, if you like, in order to push on for the FA Cup?
Yeah, I mean, for Wolves, they're not going to go down. I guess it's a very similar story to us, really. And so the cup should be their priority because, as you say, no one really remembers if you finish 8th, 9th, 10th or 15th. So, yeah, they should do. But I think they'll play a strong team against us. I mean, it's a game. I hate to say it, but it's a game that they should be looking to win, really, with our current form. So I think they'll play a strong team, and I think they'll go out thinking they will beat us.
Yeah, I like Wolves. They're a team. They're good to watch as well. If you're neutral, if you've got even if you're just sitting down to watch Wolves play someone, i.e., Wolves Leicester was one of the best games of football I've seen in a long time on the TV the other day. They play fantastic football. They play a different formation to almost everybody in the Premier League. They have their own sort of unique setup of the 3-5-2. If you want to keep 2 strikers up front in this day and age, I mean, we all got excited when Pellegrini did it. Well, Wolves have been doing it from day one in the season. 3 at the back, 2 fast wing backs that get forward a lot as well. They know how to dictate tempo. They know how to control a game of football as well. I was telling Gonzo on another show that because I like my stats, the expected goals thing, there was a league table put up that everybody scored the expected goals. This is what the league table will look like. Wolves be sitting 5th, and it just goes to show how good their defence is. They're just missing a little bit of chances at their end of the pitch. But if they can sort that out, they are in contention for climbing the table higher and higher. And Gonzo, they've got a lot of good players, but who have you had to pick out a couple of them as their key men? Who would you be picking out?
Well, Neves is the key man, but I've sort of mentioned him really, Bolly as well. I do think Jota comes in and provides some goals, but I think if they're, I think they're very, very close in terms of their personnel to be in there, because the Premier League's almost split into a top 6. What's European places? Do we know?
It's 5th, but because of the Carabao Cup, 6 has now got it. And if 2 teams in the top 6 get into the FA Cup final, it goes to 7. So right now it's only 6.
And it'll probably, looking at the FA Cup, it may well stay 6. So 7th, I mean, it's funny because the top 6 is obviously, you got Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Tottenham, Man United, Arsenal, and Man United are obviously the form team. So actually, what you got, say you got Watford, Leicester, us, Wolves. For the next team to break into there, so I know it wasn't the question you're asking, but it did get me thinking about it. When you said key men, I think it would only take, if, for instance, if you took Aubameyang out of Arsenal's team and put him in Wolves' team, I think they're up there. Even though there's a little gap developed there. I've got to go. Midfield is going to be quite key, but I do think they lack that sort of world-class striker, if you like. So, so I think Bolly could be key, particularly if Arnautovic is got his tail up and is back in the team.
What about yourself, X? So there's a couple of Wolves players you are keeping your eye on tomorrow night. Which would they be?
Well, I think it's a couple of players that have been linked with us in the past. I think their goalkeeper's very good. Patricia, I think his name is, and the striker up front, Jimenez. I mean, I don't know if either of them are fit. I haven't seen the team news. I'm assuming they're playing, and if they are, it's always classic West Ham. Whenever you're linked with a player, generally, like Wilson the other day, generally they tend to go on and do something good against us. So it wouldn't surprise me if Jimenez scored. I think Gonzo's right. Neves, I'm awful at pronouncing names, but yeah. He looks their best player, and Traore, another player. If he scored against us at London Stadium, another player we've been linked with. It's just, with West Ham, everything's just so almost like written in the stars, and I just always think a player that's been linked with us generally does damage against us.
Well, as we know, Traore got his first Wolves goal after being linked with us forever in the last game. And then Donker's now made his way to the Wolves starting 11. Yeah. So we all know who's scoring tomorrow night. The 3 players I like Neves. I think he's one of the best players outside the top 6. I think if he's worth tens of millions, I don't think he'll ever leave Wolves. I think a lot of top 6 clubs will be looking at him though and thinking he's cutting it more than fine in the Premier League. He makes them tick. I like Jimenez as well. I don't think it gets enough credit at Wolves. I think he's fantastic at holding the ball up. He can do what is very difficult in football to do, is that is when you get the ball and you're surrounded by a couple of defenders, just to travel with it for 10, 15 yards and get a throw in up the pitch or win a free kick, etc. I think he's brilliant at that. I think he's extremely key to the way Wolves play. And the last one I'm going to pick out is Doherty, the fullback. He's one of the best defenders outside the top 6, in my opinion. He's been superb for Wolves. But anyway, moving on to that, let's look at our own team, the West Ham team. Gonzo, does the defence sort of pick itself, or do we have an Ogbonna-shaped problem in the back 5?
Yeah, but it still does pick itself, I think, because he's certainly shown no inclination to drop Declan Rice into central defence. He's shown no inclination to even draft Oxford into the subs bench for a FA Cup game, so he's not going to come in. So that's what we're going to get. We're going to get Ogbonna, and I just wonder if Kiate was still with us, whether he would have been drafted in as centre back by now. But it is definitely a problem. Aside from that, it's as you would probably imagine, which is a Zabaleta, Diop, Ogbonna, and Aaron Cresswell.
And of course, Fabianski goal. X, is that the defence you would like to see, or do you think we need to sort out the Ogbonna problem?
I think Ogbonna is a problem because I thought he was dire against Wimbledon, but unfortunately there isn't anyone that can really play there. I think Oxford will be gone by the end of the window. Cresswell's got a knock apparently, so hopefully he's fit in time, but that's why he missed the Wimbledon game. But I would go with the same as Gonzo said, keeper and the back 4, mainly because I don't think we have any other options instead of Ogbonna, which is a worry, and is actually the position that I would try and get someone on loan in by the close of the window, but whether we will or not, I'm not sure.
Well, there you go. Some news on Creswell I didn't know about.
No.
I hope he's okay for the game. I don't want to see a Masuaku Bona partnership on the left of defence again. The worry for Bona, though, is I just know fine Jimenez is going to put himself up against Bona, and I'm really worried about that battle between those two players tomorrow night. I was trying to think earlier, because obviously I knew you had this show, I was thinking, what could we do? And all the options involve moving someone out of position. And I think, can you really justify moving, I don't know, Zabaleta centre-back and Fredericks right-back just to get Obon out of the team? You know, he's sort of playing by default. And I know we've got a couple of good young centre-backs like Pass, but I don't want to see him thrown in away to Wolves. That's throwing him in under the bus a little bit. And Pellegrini would get hounded if he did that and the player struggled. Vice is far too important in centre midfield to put him in defence. And so Bona plays by default, but I'm going to be watching through my fingers anytime the ball goes near him. Gonzo, what formation would you like? I know you're a fan of 4-4-2, but Wolves like to play 3 in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, when everything was going rosy, I did like the 4-4-2, but two mitigating factors against that. Number one, we don't seem to... I don't think we've got 2 decent centre forwards to play at the moment. We're not in a position where Arnie is in form and everything's happy, and Chicharito's in form and everything's happy. And also the other mitigating factor was before we had Nasri. So Nasri does seem to enjoy having that free roll in there. So I'd probably go with just the 1-up and have Nasri in the team, mate.
And how would you like to see the midfield set up then, Gonzo?
Rice, Noble, Nasri obviously in the free roll as I've described, Anderson, Antonio, and I'll put Arnautovic up front.
What about yourself, X? How would you like to see us line up in midfield?
To be honest, I feel like I'm copying him all night, but I agree with Gonzo again, to be fair. I think Arnautovic needs to return to the team. We, as Gonzo said, we're lacking any kind of threat since he's been out of it, so I'd stick him up top. Nasri is also a fitness doubt for tomorrow. Again, why he wasn't available for Wimbledon, so hopefully he's fit. And yeah, I'd go exactly the same. It's a tough one between Antonio and Snodgrass for the wing, but I think when you're playing 4-5-1, you need a bit more pace on those wings, and I think Antonio offers that a bit more than Snodgrass. So yeah, same.
But I'm going to copy Gonzo as well, actually. I think I was thinking about this earlier, and I think it's the best way to go about it, really. The worst thing for me is this 11 picks itself, and it's the first time that's happened this season. That shows how out of form some of the players are a little bit, because when we did these previews, we had to argue. You always say, well, Antonio's doing all right, but Diangana's doing all right, but Snodgrass is providing assists and goals. So you had to argue about who you should start. Now we're sort of picking an 11 by default. And me and Gonzo really agree on 11s in previews this season. And we've not only agreed tonight, but our guest has also agreed as well. So I just think that's a reflection of some of the players' form. The only change I would maybe make is by starting Snodgrass ahead of Nasri, because I do worry about going up against Wolves as 3 midfield. We go up against Ndonka, Moutinho, and Neves. I think Noble and Rice could struggle in there on their own. I wouldn't mind seeing someone else in there. You could say Nasri, but he also played poorly against Bournemouth. He was, invisible against Bournemouth, Nasri. So he's not starting because he deserves it. He's starting because of the quality we know he's got. But I just think we need to be a bit more Liverpool-esque with a 4-3-3 and get the wide players in a little bit. They've got 3 centre-backs. Let's go 3 against 3 up front. Rather, let their wing-backs come at Zabaleta and Creswell and go up against their centre-backs rather than all this tracking back and stuff. Use their formation in our favour rather than worrying about what they've got to offer. X, Gonzo would like to see Arnautovic up front. I would like to see Arnautovic up front. Would you like to see Arnautovic up front?
Yeah, I think so. Carroll's had his chance, been absolutely dire the last couple of games. Hernandez doesn't really look interested. I mean, I'd potentially play him alongside Arnautovic, but I don't think so for this game. Pires is injured. He's got a knock, so there isn't really anyone else. And I think Arnautovic, with all the press that he's obviously had these last few weeks, this is his chance to let his actual football do the talking. And if he scores a couple of goals tomorrow, then it will go some way to appeasing the situation.
Gonzo, is there a bit of pressure on us tomorrow night after the FA Cup defeat? Does this put a bit more emphasis on not getting beat at the Molineux?
There's a huge amount of pressure. There's pressure on the manager in particular. The manager said that he would have made 11 changes at half time if he could have done that thing. There's pressure on the players. That was not a good environment for the players to do that in, because it was just so damn close to the pitch. It was such, I mean, X was there at the stadium himself. It was so close to the pitch, and they're going to need to come up with something. I bet Declan Rice wanted to be in that team, but I bet he was also, a part of him was relieved that he wasn't part of it, because he's the one person that can walk in with his head held high, and obviously Cresswell with his, or whatever. The longer Rex keeps speaking, the more players are getting injured. I don't want to talk about anyone else in case we hear some more bad news, but they've got a massive point to prove on this one, because the Bournemouth wasn't good. That was as bad as talking to someone on the phone today, and they were saying, I'm struggling to think of the worst result in the last few years. And so did I. I couldn't help out really when he was saying that. That was really bad. They need to prove something here. It's also transfer window. This, we're talking about Ogbonna here. It's amazing how much we've missed Balbuena, but you'd hope that there was a situation where actually you could rectify that Ogbonna situation there. I just think it's lucky that we're on as many points as we've got, 30 odd points, whatever it might be. It's going to be a really, really tough one, though, mate. It's going to be a really tough one. But tactically, Pellegrini needs to pull something out of the hat, and the players are going to need to show that they care.
X, are you confident ahead of this game?
No, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but no, not at all. I think if we got a draw out of this, then I would definitely take it. I mean, but the thing is, as you two know as well as I do, it is you just never know with West Ham. You really don't. We can just go and get battered by Wimbledon as we were, and then go and get a result against Wolves and Liverpool. It is, I guess, the beauty of supporting West Ham, but it is also the frustration. It is so hard to predict what's going to happen. But yeah, I'm not confident, and usually I am a very confident person. But no, that we played so poor against Wimbledon, and I think Wolves are so strong that I would take a draw, definitely.
Gonzo, what about yourself? It's a big game for us in a way, as you mentioned, but are you confident we're going to get something out of it?
No, I'm not confident either. It sounds really bad, doesn't it, as well? We're lucky we've got the 30-odd points on the board already. No, confidence would not be something. But I do, I take what X is saying there totally. It wasn't just a Declan Rice that can hold his head high. I thought Anderson was really good when he came on. Of course, they all should have been good against Wimbledon, but he glides across. He's a glider, that one, and he glides across the pitch, and he's silky and he's brilliant. And if we can get Nasri performing in the team, and he's not broken, and he can do his linking up with Anderson, then for all they're good players, and we've given Wolves a lot of praise here, we have got some wonderful players. It don't take much. Nasri to play like we know he can, Anderson on form, and Arnie to come back with a point to prove, to point all these critics, myself included, go and show us all how it's done, and show that what we were all saying before, which is basically he was the best striker outside the top six. That we get those three playing will cause Wolves problems.
Yeah, I think the Natovic thing is what's giving me optimism, if you like, and also we've had two bad performances in a row under Pellegrini. I don't know if we've gone three since he's joined. I don't know if we've gone three bad performances. Even at the start of the season, when we lost 4, we still played all right against Arsenal away. We still did well there. We just got beat. That was all. There will be a reaction. I'm expecting a reaction, and the players better give a reaction. Otherwise, Pellegrini is one of those that just doesn't beat about the bush. Like Gonzo said, he said he would sub all 11 if he could. There's no hanging about there. He's not mincing his words. He's throwing punches at the players. He's laying down a challenge to them before the game, saying, well, you need to step up here. But this game, I think, can set the tone for the near future, if you like. If we win, we then play Liverpool at home with a little bit of confidence back, a little bit of a morale boost, etc. But if we lose, and then we're looking at Liverpool thinking, oh, crikey, this is the worst possible opponents to have in our next home game, etc. So this game is quite big, I think, for the domino effect to occur. I'm optimistic, but like used to, I'm not confident at all. I think this is one of the worst fixtures we could probably have after that Wimbledon game. Wolves got a last-minute goal against Shrewsbury. Now, while it doesn't look good on paper, those players will be buzzing to get a last-minute equaliser, etc. They'll be hyped up. We've just had our bum smacked. But with all that said, Gonzo, would you care to give me your score prediction for tomorrow night's game?
Yeah, I should predict a West Ham loss here. Just all the form points to that, doesn't it? Everything points to that. But I think, in mind with Pellegrini, I don't think he's someone that comes out and he shows his authority in the press, but he drops players. I think that's what Pellegrini does. And I think later on, when we'll see next transfer window. They won't just drop players. I said some players have their car marks. Some players will be gone. He would have decided already. That's where he's strong. And so I don't be surprised we see changes. And when we see changes, people will be thinking, hold on, I'm a bit worried about replacing the team here. So I'm not going to go for a loss. I think I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. My
favourite score line. X, what about yourself? Kieran, give us a score prediction.
So I don't want to come across as negative, but in my head, I'm thinking we're going to lose 2-1. But I don't think I've ever predicted West Ham to lose a game in my life. So with that in mind, I'm just going to argue with what I actually think and go with 1-1.
Interesting. Well, we're going to copy one of these anyway. We're all going for a draw. If this was if this was last season, this was David Moyes, I'd be predicting 3-1 Wolves or something. 3-0 Wolves. I'd be expecting us to another defeat on the cards, etc. But it's not David Moyes. It's Pellegrini, and also Arnautovic has to turn up. He just has to, because if he doesn't, he might as well not turn up against the Liverpool game next week, because the London Stadium will not be a nice place for him. He's got 90 minutes to convince anybody on the fence. He's got 90 minutes to get them from the 50-50 onto his side a little bit, and that will be huge for the home game next Monday. I'm going to go for 1-1. I'm going to copy X and go for 1-1 as well. Our charity bet with Betway hasn't been priced up yet, but if you check out Betway tomorrow, go to the penalty fixtures, bet your way, and it'll say @Hammers_chat. It's Marco Navic to score and Marco Navic to get a card. I think he's going to be too hyped up, but I do think he'll find the back of the net. Everybody wins, the money goes to Isla's fund, but we don't know the prize winners yet. But that's been Gonzo. That's been ExWHUemployee. Do check out his video show on Thursday, as they'll be doing a transfer deadline special, keeping you up to date with the latest news on Maxi Gomez and John Fleck and any other person that we've randomly been linked with in the last couple of days. But X, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, mate. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Gonzo, thank you as always.
Thank you, and sorry I'm late. It's my fault.
And join us straight after full time tomorrow night, where we will have a review, hopefully a happier review than one we had to do on Saturday after the 4-2 defeat against Wimbledon. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're a newbie to this channel, and we'll see you tomorrow night.